We opened the meeting at 5:06. Roll call was held. 3 commissioners are here, Lopez, Kaufman, and Salazar. Our chair Harper is absent. We have read and approved the minutes from December 14th, 2022 unanimously. And we had just opened citizens comment period at 5:07 p.m. And there are no requests to speak and we don't have anyone present. So we will close citizen comment period at 5:07 p.m., 5:08 p.m., sorry. We don't have any items under executive session at the moment for today. And so we'll move into our consider and possible action items that we have. Our first item is the resolution to prepay the USDA existing mortgage loan on Pete Dressen Housing, and that should be provided in your packet. Steve, I'll ask you anything you want to share before we move forward with this.
Well, I actually went back and found some resolutions that Frank did, and that was the format I used to do the original one. They got sent to the city by Daniel, and she sent them back to me and said, could you use this format? So I had to change it, not the words, but just
format.
And you know, the resolution basically states that what exactly we talked about during the last board meeting. And it does 2 things. It gives me the authority from the board to act on your behalf with USDA, and with the only exception that Daniel will sign any documents that needs his signature, or if he's not available, I can send them to you also. And to proceed with the application to pay off the note.
Okay.
Prepay the note. And so that's basically what this says. If you have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
I did have like one, because this thing says, the first mortgage, $188,000 for the first mortgage owed to USDA. Is there a secondary mortgage?
No.
Okay.
It's the only mortgage.
I just wanted to make sure, because
Yes.
I made a distinction about first mortgage. It's like, oh crap, do we have another
Is
one?
there another one?
Yeah.
And that's what it's called, so that's why I was instructed, in fact, by the lady from USDA to make sure it says that.
Okay.
Okay.
She
Thank
gave
you.
me that language.
Thanks for the
question.
clarification.
Yeah, also a question too. Any other questions that we have? Okay. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution 01-2023 for that's present?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution number 01-2023 as written.
Okay, is there a second? Thank you very much. The motion has been made to adopt this resolution by Commissioner Kaufman and seconded by Commissioner Salazar. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Okay, it's unanimously approved, so we can move forward with this. Very exciting.
And because Daniel's name's already on this, and that's what you're approving, I'll email it to him tomorrow.
Okay.
And then sign it after I get it back from you.
Okay, perfect. Our next resolution for consideration and possible action is to approve the budget for Charles Young Public Housing for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022. And Steve, is there anything that you would like to share regarding this item?
Yes, the only thing that I have for you to sign is this form. It's a requirement, and I will send them the budget after this, along with this form, but it has to be signed first.
Right, with this form.
And it's for a budget that started July 1 last year.
Right.
And ends this year at the end of June, which is
It's not very long.
stupid to me, but what are you gonna do?
And we had already reviewed the budget prior, so we already had made those decisions,
Right.
but this form is what was needed. Is that
So
correct?
I'll send that to Daniel tomorrow and
Okay.
get him to sign it also.
All right. Are there any questions?
So is this for both sites or just?
No,
Charles.
Charles Young, it's public housing. See, it says PHA up there,
Yeah, that's right.
top left.
Okay. I don't see any other questions. So is there a motion to approve this or adopt this resolution that will approve the budget for Charles Young Public Housing for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022?
I'll move approval.
Okay. Commissioner
Second.
Salzo moves, seconded by Commissioner Coughlin. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. All right, then the ayes have it and the motion carries unanimously. And we have that. So the next item is management report. Steve, is there anything you'd
I'll
like to
give you a
share with us?
real brief management report in the next 16 minutes.
Okay, here we go. Bring in timey, Steve.
The most important thing I can tell you is that the Hays County gave us our $75,000 last week.
Awesome.
And the city of Kyle has told me that they'll give me our $64,000 this week. They've already given 11, which was used specifically to remove the 2 giant trees over at Pete Dressen that were split down the middle and endangering the building.
Mhm.
So those 2 things are going on. So once I got the money from the county, then I was able to pay myself some money, which was I liked. And then all of the everything's been paid for on all the work that's been done except for me.
Okay.
And so once I get the money from the city, then I'll be able to finish paying me.
Okay.
And, we'll continue to go on. The REAC inspection's been rescheduled for May 17th, and we are already ready for it, but we'll be even more ready by then.
Great.
So will that catch us all the way up for your part?
Well, when I get the second payment from the city, that should pretty much clear me up.
Okay.
Good. And catch you up so
It'll
then
get,
current.
and if it doesn't, and I don't remember the number off the top of my head, if it doesn't,
We still have the rent coming in.
I'll just pay myself out as I can. But because we got the big rent increase on Pete Dressen, which went into effect 12/1, but we haven't received any of that increase, which was 92%.
Mhm.
We will be receiving on March 2nd or 3rd a 45,000 and change on Pete Dressen, which will bring us current on the new rates,
Okay.
including March. So we'll get the difference in December, January, and February, and then full payment in March. It'll come all in one lump. And I should be able to get myself current with that and the other.
Okay, great.
And the other thing that I'm doing is, once we get that 45 grand, I'm replenishing the reserve for replacement account, which was depleted when I took it over. We've actually started doing that, but I will, with that rent increase, I agreed to make it a bigger deposit every month. And so we'll be doing that when we get to 45 grand. And then come December next year or this year, we will be totally current on the RFR account, less whatever we ask to remove, to use for replenishment, but we'll be current, and it's not been current in years.
That's
I
great.
forget, what's HUD's minimum on that? How
Well,
many per unit?
their minimum is $1,000 per unit,
Per unit.
minimum balance.
Yeah.
So you have to have 30 grand in that account, but they're never, I mean, when I took it over, there was 18,000.
Mhm.
And then I took 16 and change of that to make those 10 units that were vacant ready. So that took it down to nothing, but they weren't depositing money in that account for years. So, all right, next, we had a bunch of tree damage from the freeze. No damage to any units, nothing beyond something that the maintenance man couldn't fix readily. They were without power for a few days, on and off for a couple of days. We had the tree damage cost $7,000 to get a contractor out there to take care of it because they had to cut a lot of the branches and limbs off those trees and then haul a lot of stuff off. I don't know if any of you drove by when that was going on, but it was, and then plus we took down, as I said earlier, those two big trees. The blessing box thing, you've seen, saw yesterday that the city postponed the Boy Scout Jerry White until March 7th.
Yes.
I emailed him and he said, thank you. I met him 2 weeks ago when I was here. He's a nice young man.
Great.
And he doesn't care about getting accolades from the city. And, you know, I said, yeah, but I think you deserve it and so do they. So you need to,
Right.
you know, just be there and let them talk nice of you and, you know.
I just need to come up with his 10 minutes and quit.
Right.
Pushing it
Stop
down.
kicking it down.
They appreciate it, but
One other thing that we did was we found that the city on both properties was charging taxes to the on the water bills. And so we got with a person at the city and they actually gave us retroactive credits.
Do you know how long or how far that had gone back?
There's no telling. All I could go by was what I had bills for.
Okay.
And so what they were willing to give us, they gave us $869.20 on Charles Young and $1,239.80 on Pete. And so that's, you know, a little over $2,100. So that's just money
Okay.
we had to use for something else. It's actually just paper credit, but it'll go
Right.
towards our water bills until we use it up.
Okay.
I've heard no news on the, I can't think of it. The deal where we're trying to get some money out of the government for my mind's blank, I'm so sorry. We talked about it
Yes.
2 or 3 meetings ago. It's supposed to take about 1.5 to 2 years to get it.
the claim.
The claim,
Yes.
yeah.
The,
Anyway.
what's the name of the claim?
I have not talked to him since, you know,
Okay.
we had a meeting with him on the phone. And it is an active claim, but it takes
Okay.
a couple years, so. Let's see, at Charles Young, the paving work is done and the roofs, I think I told you this the last meeting. We replaced a couple of roofs and the exterior painting has been delayed. All the carpentry's been done, but because of weather, they haven't been able to do the painting. They need a week straight. I don't know if they're here. They haven't told me they're here today, so I'm not sure if they're working yet, but it looks like we've got good weather coming for about the next 3 weeks. Hopefully it'll get done soon. In general, the auditor is moving forward. They are having to charge some extra from their proposal because Bill Roach is no longer even available. Nobody can find Bill Roach. He's not dead, but nobody can find him.
Not connecting.
The people at Erla can't find him.
Okay.
The people doing the audit now know Bill Rocha and they can't find him.
Okay.
So there'll be a few $100 extra charge because they had to recreate some work that they should have got from Bill Rocha.
Okay.
The pilot program that I told you all about, which was a payment in lieu of taxes to the city. And I talked with Jerry about that, Jerry Hendricks, and he was gonna put it on the agenda to get the city council to waive the payments, which are about roughly $6,000 a year for the last several years. He's postponed it until, it's supposed to be on tonight's agenda.
Okay.
Hopefully, it'll be discussed and approved. But Frank would cut checks for this money and just leave the checks sitting in his desk drawer. And so when you read the audit, there's these checks for round numbers of $6,000 for the last few years that never got cashed because there never was money to cover them.
Okay.
And so that's what prompted me to do some research on that. I talked to Erla. They're the ones that sent me the documentation that said I could get the city to waive it. Okay. And so that's what Jerry's working on. I explained it all to Jerry, gave him all the paperwork Erla gave me. He's, so it'll just sit there on my list until he gets it approved by the city. And then what I'll do is I'll have Gloria, my accountant, or my accounting person, remove it all out of the payable list, their outstanding checklist, and then I'll notify Erla to remove it and the auditors to remove it.
Okay.
And maybe they'll have it done and approved before the audits are completed.
Okay.
Which have to be done. The audit has to be done by the end of March. So anyway, that's all I got. Unless y'all have questions.
With all of the things that we've done, I'm just wondering if there's some point, maybe later this spring, that it might be nice to do an open house, sort of a thank you with our partners, with whoever might be the person from the county or from the city, just to invite them to the properties. And we've done so much, or if you think that might even be something for the fall, but just wondering.
I'd rather do that after I get a good REACT score.
Yes, we can definitely do that too. So maybe just
and then we can invite them
on the list. Just
So,
keep it on the list.
So speaking of that was my question. So financially, we're looking better
So
than we
much
have in a
healthier.
long,
Yes.
a long time. REACT's coming, and of course, that's going to take a little bit of investment to get us a good score on. What's your top 3 or 4 items that you can think of that we may need to put a little money into? Siding?
No, the siding, as soon as I get the money from the city, that's where that's going to come from.
Okay.
I'm not replacing all the siding, but I'm going to repair everything that would be a REACT inspection. And then when I did that 92% budget-based rent increase, the first year of that included setting money aside to put all new roofs on all of Pete Dressen. The second year of that we'll continue to set money aside so that at the end of the second year, we can replace all the siding and trim and everything with hardy board.
Okay.
And then paint it. Yeah. Okay, and I've already got rough prices on that. I know by the time we get there, those will change, but there'll be money set aside that I can work with. And we'll be, with that rent increase, we'll be able to make sure we got enough.
Okay.
So it's all part of my master plan, which is really a 3-year plan, first year roof, second year exterior, and then third year go in and start doing some stuff on the inside. That's on Pete Dressen. On Charles Young, we've already started doing a lot of that. We've done the roofs, we've done the paving, we're getting ready to finish the painting. Then we're going to start going in units and replacing appliances. And they have capital funds that I've already earmarked for all this stuff going up to 2025. And all I have to do is go in and take the money when I need it. I got to spend it within either 48 or 72 hours. So, it's one of those kind of,
You gotta be ready.
be ready to go and write the check and have it all ready and then move the money and release the check, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So I have to work with the contractors so that they understand there's not going to be any front money. You got to do it, you finish it. This is the amount. I'll pay you within 72 hours from when you get done.
Okay.
So,
Great.
So for May 7th, you don't feel there's any, it's just a bunch of little stuff. to
yeah,
prep for the
we,
REACT.
other than the siding, we've pretty much done everything. And there'll be more. We will go into the units mid-April or maybe even early April and do 100% unit inspection, re-inspect the buildings on the outside,
Okay.
make another list and go back and finish all that.
Great.
So, and I'll be ready for the May 17th.
All right.
And if you want me to come down and help with that, I don't mind.
I'll remember that.
Thank you.
I'm sure I can get a release to come
I
down.
understand.
Very good.
I'll see if I can squeeze you out.
Are there any other questions or comments for our executive director? Okay, well, Steve, thank you. I think what Brad was saying is that we're in such better shape, and we really appreciate just that persistence and your goodwill in many ways for all of the things that you've been able to do to help us really kind of turn some of this, well, the big majority of this around. And I hope that our residents are feeling like we are truly trying to make a difference for these.
From what I
Jeez.
gather from Deidre, I believe that for the most part, people are.
Okay.
And we've had some move outs, with the people that, and I told you this was going to happen. When
Right,
the rents went up, people who were, paying market rent,
right,
they're moving because they don't want to pay the new rent.
Right.
But the people who are getting subsidy, they're seeing improvements and response to requests and things of that nature,
terrific.
which they never had before.
That's
Or very
glad,
little of, let's put it that way.
glad to hear it.
So, and only one other thing I need to do is I need to still pay Frank off the properties, still owe him some money. We've paid the majority of it, but I will
Okay,
we'll
great.
get that done when I get all this money in.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
We're in-
At least those move outs made room for other folks to move in.
Oh, absolutely. And people who are more qualified, because
Yeah.
these folks stayed there. They're driving brand new cars and they're living there, paying $800 for a three-bedroom apartment,
Yeah, it's great.
And so, I noticed that when I first came, I said, they've got the wrong kind of people living here. And then once I looked at the rent rolls, I figured out why.
We just need to have those who really, it was meant for us to provide and ensure that everybody meets those qualifications
Right.
every time.
When they moved in, they were in that situation. They worked themselves out and they just stayed.
Right, we just must be
Nobody,
consistent on that as well.
They have the bonus of they're not challenging with evictions either, so that's good.
No, I haven't had to do any evictions.
There we go.
Okay.
All right. So there being no other business, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Kaufman,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Salazar. So it's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. All right, the ayes have it. We've adjourned at 5:30 p.m. Thank you.
Wow.